Okay, welcome to Deck Theory Crafting with Du. We're going to be talking about priest stuff. Yeah. Um. Anyway, um. So we're specifically talking about priest decks and what the kind of changes a priest could see would be. First up, Shrinkmeister, a buff for control priest. This is great. Um. Giving a minion -2 attack this turn. This means that you could actually run a really Cabal heavy deck where you're just doing Shadow Madness, Cabal Shadow Priest, things like that to take out those annoying 4 attack cards because you're getting a -2 attack and then screwing with them. You could even just do Shadow Word Pain. So this helps control Priest, and it's actually, I think, the first in a line of cards we're going to see that'll make a sort of yoink priest, as I would like to call it, and used to call a priest deck that I made to steal things. Where basically all the priest does is wait for you to play your cards. Then, once you play them, it takes them and throws them back at you. Because what is better to kill your opponent with than their own deck, since they can't answer that card? Their own deck is hitting them. So, what are they going to do? They lost their answer because it got stolen to hit them, which is the problem. Beautiful. So, this is kind of the spearheaded front of what I would think would be a kind of yoink priest. I'm going to be experimenting with this because I might get back into Hearthstone off of this. Not necessarily over Magic, but I already found my dream deck for Magic. Thank God there's so many cards. So Shrinkmeister is a great buff for priests. As for most of the neutral minions and for these 2 cards, there's really not much for priest in here. I mean, we don't have secrets, so Illuminator doesn't help, even though there's healing present. Jeeves, a priest's trademark. Go watch some of my past videos. Priests want to load their hand. You want to be sitting at 8 to 10 cards every turn as a priest for an ideal hand, because there's just great synergies in priest decks. That's part of why Northshire Cleric is so good, because you can just draw, 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 draw. So Jeeves doesn't work, which would be an interesting card there. Anything that doesn't draw you a card is just not really worth it. And the upgraded Repair Bot, we're not running Priest Mech, or at least I'm not, so I would discount that. And Velen's Chosen, priests don't need the spell damage, especially control priests. And on top of that, giving minions buffs is not really what you want to be doing when you're in constructed play. So there's a reason why buffs aren't run. That's why Demon Fire isn't run. That's why I don't think, unless you're running, a very demon-heavy deck, that Fellheart will be run. I could be wrong, and, we'll see Demon Fire reemerge too, because demons. They need to make an Angel deck now. Come on, Priest, Angel deck. I want this. I'm hyped. Make an Angel deck next time, guys. Please. Anyway. Or do it for Paladins. Come on. There should be an Angel deck now. Or soon. Regardless. Velen's Chosen. There's a reason why other buff cards weren't really run. We had Demon Fire. We had Druids having Mark of the Wild. And, cards like that. Buff cards just really aren't worth it, because if your opponent answers that one minion, it's like they're answering 2 different cards. And instead of having to use AoE board clear, say you buff, a 3-2 and your opponent deaths it. They just deathed 2 minions. Not 1, but 2. So, yeah. That's why nobody runs these kind of cards. So for a priest, certainly not running it. Regardless, I'd love to be able to do stuff with these little spare parts, but again, that seems like an aggro thing, because that's where most spare parts come from, is aggro-style cards, so I wouldn't run that. Sneed's Old Shredder, that's going in Control Priest, period. I don't care what you say. If it has to replace Ragnaros, so be it. It is the staple legendary of any sort of control-style deck that wants to run for the late game. You have to run Sneed's Old Shredder. Especially given the caliber of new legendary minions that are available. Gazrilla, well, I don't think he necessarily works for Hunter. For a control deck, yeah, sure, run Gazrilla. Especially because your opponent just had to waste removal on Sneed's Old Shredder anyway. Now you got Gazrilla, and he's not that likely to have that much removal. If you get Bolvar, kind of sucks. Same with Baron Rivendare, but there's crap legendaries out there too. You're not that likely to grab them. If I am to grab a legendary, like... come on, where's the legendaries? Flame Leviathan, it actually won't detonate off of getting it from Sneed's Old Shredder, especially because the minion just comes into play. Same thing with Iron Juggernaut, actually. The Battlecry won't trigger. But if I am going to get off of Sneed's Old Shredder something like Mal'Ganis, even just for the immunity, that's good. Neptulon, I'm not that happy, but I'm not that pissed, because his Battlecry and his Overload both didn't go off, so I just get a 7/7 out of the Shredder. Not bad. Vol'jin, because his Battlecry won't trigger, is actually bad to get from the Shredder, but again, there are those kind of cards. If you get Malorn from the Shredder, your opponent concedes. If you get Ysera from the Shredder, your opponent concedes, and if you get Malygos from the Shredder, your opponent concedes. Even as a priest, because suddenly I just used Smite on your face for 7 damage. Or, if I have Lighter Than Naru, and I have an Alkani, I drop an Alkani and heal your face for 8. And summon a Light Warden just for the heck of it. So... funny. Let's see, what else helps Priest out among these cards? What are the gems among all of the soot? Antique Healbot is not a Priest card. I play Alkani, suddenly I hurt myself for 8 summoning a 3/3. Not gonna happen, boys. Out over my dead body. Hobgoblin, Priests aren't playing 1-attack minions. We're actually playing 4-attack minions because we don't want other Priests to be screwing with us. Shadow Boxer. He might even replace Wild Pyromancer, honestly, because of Priest's crazy amount of healing, and because he's more durable than a Pyromancer. And he doesn't even hurt himself or your own minions in the process. Pretty crazy. He also surprisingly synergizes with Wild Pyromancer because cards like Holy Nova and Circle of Healing suddenly just get better and better. So, Shadow Boxer, I'll definitely be experimenting with him because, again, in a control-style priest where you're healing things, especially if you're running something like Injured Blade Master, pretty good. Shadow Boxer would be pretty good. So, yeah. And priests are going to be healing anyway. It's an integral part of the class. If I have to replace Wild Pyromancer, so be it. I will do it. If I have to replace, Dark Cultist, so be it. I will do that in a heartbeat. Just anything to clear the board of my opponent's cards, because Priest already dominates the late game with Mind Control and Shadow Word Death. And now also having, what's his name, Vol'jin, Mr. Ganondorf. Anything to kind of strengthen Priest against aggro, I am perfectly fine with. I want a bulwark against aggro where I can just Riot Shield aggro decks in the face right out of my way and go straight up against other late game decks and take Priest's natural strength into the place where it flourishes. Priest still sucks against Handlock, but what are you going to do? And now against Demon Lock it might struggle too. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there. Let's see, what else is useful for Priest? Light Bomb. I'm not sure what's going on with Light Bomb. It is the actually best answer to Handlock that Priest has, because all of Handlock's giants, are equal in their attack and health. So Light Bomb's a good answer for that, and I'm pretty happy about that. But, yeah. I might switch out one copy of Holy Nova for a copy of Light Bomb, just because. So. Yeah. Light Bomb could be pretty good for strengthening Priest against Handlock. Against Demon Lock, I don't even know what's going on. Actually, most demons, unfortunately for Demon Lock, have more attack than health, because they're so bloody aggressive. Mistress of Pain isn't that way, but the Lifelink. Mal'Ganis is that way. With your Floating Watcher, you've got equal parts health and toughness. And Anima Golem, that's not a demon, that's a mech, but still. This Fell Cannon. This is like not even going to be ran. Compared to the other Warlock class cards, this is so much of a dud. Like, okay, let's go make a Mech Zoo? No! Go run a Demon deck, dude. It's just better. So, there you go. And other than that, Shadow Bomber. Oh look, Priest dead card. Dead. Just... yeah. This is dust. At least it's epic, so I'm not that likely to get it. And it's worth some dust when I finally do. Thank you, Blizzard, for putting the crap cards in the epic slot, so that all of us who don't want to get these crap cards can actually get some value out of them crafting uncommon cards, which are good. And we're really unlikely to get them anyway. Problem solved. All the crap cards are epics. That's why Blizzard does it. And then there's Vol'jin. Wow. Yes. I like Vol'jin. He's just a great buff for Control Priest, especially because you can now just Holy Nova something or Light Bomb something. It synergizes with either and synergizes with both. You can even just Circle of Healing and let Shadow Boxer go to work punching it for 2. Meaning whatever Vol'jin has swapped health with. So, Vol'jin's a great card. It's going to be filling that 5-drop slot. I'm easily taking out Loatheb for this thing. I don't even think that Priest is going to really need cards like Sludge Belcher that much anymore. Because just the strength of the control deck. Running a copy of Light of Holy Nova, you're pretty well off against most aggro-style decks, which favor minions that have higher attack than health anyway. And for those decks that have the annoying 4 attack cards, you've got the Shrinkmeister to go stealing them with Cabal Shadow Priest. For any other leftover small minions, you've got Shadow Boxer to help you deal with them instead of Wild Pyromancer, which can damage your own board. You have Cabal Shadow Priest anyway, which you're running because you already run Shrinkmeister and Vol'jin. So I think Priest has a really beautiful control future around it, and with the Light of Naru, I don't really know whether Priest is going to run this or not. Again, it has synergy with Cabal Shadow Priest. But let me see something about Shadow Boxer. Whenever a character is healed, so it doesn't deal 1 damage for each point of health restored. That would be stupid crazy. Yeah, that means the Light of the Naru isn't so great. It works as a better version of Smite with Alchemy, but you need Alchemy to combo it with. So I don't even know if Priest is still going to run Sylvanas, even. I'm definitely running a 1 of Mind Control, though, because Sneed's Old Shredder and Malorn just make it critical. Light of the Naru, what are you going to do? I don't think I'm going to run it. I'm going to throw my verdict out there and say, while it is above average, I would rather have a Smite that always works to synergize with Vol'jin, instead of having something that only works if I have an Alchemy, because I've only got 2 in the deck anyway. And on top of that, the Light Warden, I don't really need the Light Warden anyway. Sure, it fits with the whole healing theme of, you know, priests, but why? Why do I really need it? That extra little 1/2 minion that might get a little bit better. My opponent's probably not going to let me keep it because they're going to trade a minion into it, or a Fiery War Axe is just going to smack it in the face. It's pretty easy to deal with. So, in that sense, I guess it's really just a restore 3 health to something and maybe make a little 2 damage soak. Closer to restore 5 health. But, again, it's not useful on the offense unless you have Alchemy, and Alchemy is already a very limited resource running with Circle of Healing. which is now going to be so strained between all these different cards. Knowing how to play Circle of Healing is going to be the difference between good and bad priests in this meta. And I don't know how well I'll adjust, because you got Shadow Boxer now also contending. Hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Smite's better, because with Vol'jin, that's where you want the synergy. With a post-Light Bomb spell, that's where you want the synergy, and the Light Bomb does, in fact, hurt your own board. But, yeah. Other than Naru won't be that great, I don't think. Just because there's better cards. Not because it isn't good, but because there's better out there. So, new Priest, very Yoinky-style deck that will probably crap all over aggro. Will I need Mass Dispel? Will Silence finally be the thing I need? I don't think so. I might as well just AoE wipe the board with Light Bomb instead of AoE silencing the board and cantripping. So, there's that. And then regular old Silence. I think I'm still going to run it as a one-of, because there's a lot of cards that could use that Silence, like Malorn and Mal'Ganis. But again, that's one card per deck. And Handlock, it's still the Twilight Drake. Mal'Ganis won't work in Handlock at all. And, well, every deck's got that one minion that needs silencing, but it's only the one, so I only need the one silence. So there you go. I think the one of silence is still going to only need to be a one of silence. I want to see if Token Paladin emerges because of Hobgoblin plus... where are you? Istad Quartermaster. Yeah. But in terms of Priest, it's going to be a very strong deck against aggro, just like Priest is right now, which is one of the things I like. It's going to have a stronger aspect of it where it can take enemy minions from them, even those 4-attack minions like Druid of the Claw, and all of that. So I think that, oh, what's his name? Dark Cultist is going to be replaced by Shrinkmeister, because you can now synergize with Cabal Shadow Priest and start stealing things. We're going to get Sneed's Old Shredder instead of Ragnaros. We're going to be running a one-of copy of Mind Control. We're going to be running Vol'jin instead of Lotheb. Running a Light Bomb instead of a copy of Holy Nova. Running Shadow Boxer instead of Wild Pyromancer, whose only play was in Priest anyway, rather unfortunately for the Pyromancer. And then Cabal Shadow Priest is going to have to go in for, I guess, Sludge Belcher. So, there you go. I think that's going to be the new Priest deck. Thank you all for watching Theory Crafting with Du regarding Priest decks. See y'all later.